Well, it finally happened. We got a look at more gameplay for Persona 4 Revival, as well as the big one, the Persona 6 teaser. Not a trailer, but a teaser. Of course, if you're familiar with Atlus, this is pretty obviously what was gonna happen. We were gonna get you're gonna get the big reveal for P4, and then P6 probably won't really get advertised until after that happens. Or maybe we'll get the first reveal of the game, like the visuals of the gameplay and all that, at maybe like the Game Awards or something. If you want to see my reactions, it's gonna be at the end of the video. You can just, if you don't care for analysis, whatever, you can skip over to the end. I'll mark it as a chapter. Otherwise, I'm gonna talk a little bit on the trailers for P4 Revival and a little bit for Persona 6. So first thing to note, the game itself looks pretty good. I think the visuals are a lot better than what I was expecting. I really was expecting Reload level visuals, and it is very similar. It is very similar, but you can see in even just the presentation aspects, there's a lot more going on, I think, with the camera than what they did with Persona 3. I don't think I'm misremembering this. A lot of Persona 3's shots tend to happen from very samey angles. The camera's not really zoomed in on the characters. They don't want to like have that full focus on the character models, even though they could, because Reload's models look perfectly fine, but they didn't really do that. Whereas with P4, you can see, even with the social link shots that we see in the game, all of them are at closer camera angles, that they're really focusing more on showing the model's expressions. Now, when we get to the UI, I mean, it's very much the Persona that you know and love. One interesting thing, one nice thing I would say, is that there's a save button on the base screen, which shouldn't be surprising, but P4 had fixed save points even in the overworld, and I was not a huge fan of that, so that's nice to note. The Vox Populi or Populi is the probably the thing that tells you what everyone did at the time. Something interesting here, you are hanging out with Yosuke, but also this hangout wasn't in P4. Like, I don't think P4 had a karaoke area, so that's a neat addition. I assume it is just like a basic social link hangout kind of thing, which is cool. Can't complain about adding more to the game. Marie is in Persona 4 Revival, which is cool. I'm glad the golden stuff is here. Don't have to worry about it, so that's neat. Additionally, talking about the voices, obviously if you're playing this on the English dub, we already know that there is going to be a new cast for this game, and so far I think they all sound fine. Additionally, Teddy also sounds more like a child, which is, or I don't know if it's more like a child, but he's not, like, Sam Riegel has a very interesting Teddy voice that no one can properly mimic, which is pretty funny. I do think it adds to Teddy as a comedy character, but I think in serious moments, it tends to hold him back because he's just so, like, crazy of a character in English, because you have the short form is that translating him and localizing him from Japanese to English is incredibly difficult. You cannot localize this character in a literal way, as most translations go. Like, he has things about him that are very specifically Japanese. There's a really good video. It was made by Lady Virgilia, or Lady Virgilia, something like that, Lady Virgilia, on the localization differences between Kuma and Teddy. It is much more interesting than something like your average social media localization debate about like how the joke isn't translated literally, or things are changed between between the Japanese and English version of the game, because sometimes you have to do that for your audience to even resonate with any of it. But Teddy is a very difficult character to translate, and if you want to learn more about that, you should watch that video, because it is very, very good. And then you have this scene with Chie and her shadow, which, again, more cinematic. This is obviously a CG cutscene, but it's good. I do like that they are really leaning into these CG cutscenes, and I hope they do them for all of the shadows. I assume that's what they're gonna do, because that makes the most sense. And again, this is me saying that, like, as with any remake, the main thing I look at remakes for is to up the value of the original presentation. And this is doing it. And now we get to the big one. The big one. So you have the battle system here. One of the cool things, little like TV nod, I guess, is that when characters are doing their action, they are highlighted in color, I think. It's kind of hard to tell with you, or their hair is highlighted in color, which is very difficult to tell with you because his hair is gray. And then when they're not selected currently, they're black and white, which is like, you know, color TV and not color TV. All right, so I recorded a whole thing on the battle system, and then I forgot that they usually release details on the website. Basically, you have the standard Persona battle system. You can see the gauges and everything. I don't know what this gauge on the side is when they're running around the palace is. Yeah, I'm not sure. It looks like the gauge fills up when you land critical hits and weaknesses. So the series finale thing, as the way they described it, is basically the way you end 4 baton passes. So now it looks like these signature moves are tied to the baton pass structure of the game, which is really cool, actually, because it gives you something to reward you for using baton pass. It doesn't get rid of the signature moves, but it seems to remove them from being the, like, really strong move that you use on your turn, regardless of any circumstance. That said, I am wondering if we're still going to get those team attacks that they have in P4, where Yukiko and Chie get, like, the twin dragons and things like that. I'm not sure, but that seems to be the way they're working with the battle system. So there's less mystery about the battle UI. So just putting that over this and shortening it out. You know, making sure I did my research and all that jazz. The shadow attacks, and you is able to guard and then strike back, and this enemy goes into a stun state. And that's interesting, because we've never had the option to, I don't think we've had the option to, like, defend against shadow attacks. There are some things in, like, Persona 5 where Joker can dodge attacks sometimes for an ambush, and they can also, like, grapple from a distance when he has Kasumi's social link. But for this specifically, this is not something we've seen before, where you can actually guard the attack and slash back. I don't know if this is going to be a standard action. This looks like a powerful shadow, so maybe it's only available against certain shadow types. But it's nice to have that option to be able to parry. But this also confirms a little bit about the dungeon design, I think, which is that I don't think we are getting wholly unique dungeons. I think it's going to be very similar to original Persona 4, where the dungeons are still randomly generated to an extent, but they have sections that are static. But yeah, that is the trailer. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy for it. So, you know, I'm excited for P4 Revival, probably more than I was for P3, honestly, which is a little weird since I've played P4 before, but that's okay. So that does it for the P4 overview and all that. We're gonna move on to P6 right now. Okay, now for the Persona 6 video here. So I'm gonna mute that. So essentially what we have, the thing that we saw for Persona 6 is a short teaser, very akin to our favorite Persona 5 teaser, and then the game was like 3 years out from that. I mean, it's in a graveyard, it's in a cemetery. So I do think the game is going to go for a more, I don't know if it's going to go for a more mature vibe. It definitely gives that off. But remember, the original teaser for Persona 5 did not resemble, I don't think it really resembled P5 that much. I feel like there were definitely some story changes from there. I think P6 might be further into development at this point, so it might not happen that way. I couldn't get a good read on what the nameplate says. Anyway, you've got this thing here. Yeah, I can't tell what it says. Someone might be able to decipher that better than I can. You do have this thing here, that like weird tower structure. Not really sure what's going on with that. The interesting thing, all right, then you have someone here reaching out forward. Now, the interesting thing is all this imagery here that flashes by really quick. Obviously you have like some that's just like kind of nonsensical, no clue what it is. The one thing I saw, so there's this little light bulb thing, don't know what that is. This here, not totally sure, but when you see more shots of it, right, and then they stretch out into these threads that look a lot like spider lilies, kind of. People are gonna say that with it symbolizing death, that like Persona 6 is gonna be darker. Based on a little bit of what I'm reading here, it says it's also about remembrance and honoring people who have passed on. Obviously, we're in a cemetery here, so that fits the general theming. Anyways, and then you have like the red string of fate, which is not really like a fully romantic thing, but it is, it's like a bonds thing, which is, you know, power, friendship, standard stuff. But I assume there's a bit of a deeper meaning in this case. And then more spider lily stuff, or flower stuff. You have specifically a silhouette of a woman, and you can kind of, I don't know if that's a face or if that's just splotches, but you can kind of see a face there. And then they start doing this like weird paste on pictures. It's Madarame shadow kind of thing. They do this a bit more. You get a couple different eyes, or this mystery person you're looking out for. And then we have like droplets of liquid. There's light refracting everywhere. Then the letters of who are you. So that mystery woman might be like a person that we're chasing after, trying to figure out who this person is, I would say. And then you have, going back a little bit, because this is impossible to navigate in a reasonable way, you have all of these hands pointing, I assume, to the same thing. You have who are you, there's more red strings there, and then you have this entanglement of strings. Am I crazy? Is it Scarlet Nexus? I'm kidding, but anyways, you have this entanglement of strings, goes to the who are you telephone pole there. Is that also supposed to be telephone pole? No. There's a telephone pole there, maybe more like wires getting tangled. And then there's the butterfly, you know. So you have the butterfly, the telephone pole, the spider web, and then it does the who are you thing, and we get the logo for Persona 6. Now, I don't totally know what to think at this point. There's not a lot to think about, I would say. They don't even give a date, again, you know, symbolizing that this might be a little further off than we're expecting, but I think that's fine. We have Persona 4 Revival coming up. There are a lot of games still coming out these next few months. So until Revival comes out, I won't expect to see Persona 6, but I would like to see some gameplay by the time we hit the end of this year, so the Game Awards. But if we don't, it is what it is, you know, we'll see what happens. I think that it could be darker. It could go into a lot of darker themes, but it doesn't necessarily have to. There is a chance we really don't delve too much into like really dark themes and things like that. But again, we'll have to see. So I won't speculate on it too much. There is that description as well that was posted on the Xbox, on Xbox somewhere. I don't know, I saw a screenshot of it, and it uses the word haunting, so obviously we're gonna get into like occult stuff, and then it lists like urban legends, the occult, so maybe more like ghost, supernatural focus on that kind of stuff. But again, we'll have to see. But this has been my analysis of the Persona 4 Revival and Persona 6 trailers. that released today. If you want to see my reactions, they'll be right at the end of this. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Whenever that may be.
You ever heard of the Midnight Channel?
Domino might have been on that Midnight Channel before she died too. Now then, whatever's going on here,
Giant Shadow,
we're
holy
getting
shit.
to the bottom of it.
To wield a persona is...
Doesn't it sound cool?
Someone had to see that. I'm glad it was you.
Was fully jerky. I can't wait.
So, shall we?
There's a lot more dynamic camera angles.
Come on, don't call me that.
All shadows were originally born from humans.
And that
Was that
means
Teddy's
I got
voice?
killed by her other self.
No! Get out of here!
That we
Baton
also
pass.
toss some people in here.
Wait, you can guard the attacks now.
I'm not running away from this. But I have no problem taking down shadows.
Yo!
Yo!
Why did she Rasengan?
Let's team up
The
and
fuck
catch
was
this
that?
jerk.
Yo, real all-out attack.
Wait, that
animation?
all out went crazy.
Yo!
Yeah!
Oh shit! Yo! Let's go!
Oh. Oh, that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted.
Oh, that looks so good, dude.
That actually looks so fucking good. Holy shit.
Holy shit.
That actually looks so good. I gotta watch that again after this.
World premiere.
World premiere. We gotta throw that shit on the screen every single. Whoa! Come on, come on. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
In-game. Oh my god, there's a cemetery.
Don't do this to me. It's gonna be fucking Raido Kuzuno, huh?
Stop.
Okay. Okay. Still on the cemetery. That's interesting. What are we doing? What? Oh, Jesus. I feel like... Oh. That's it. That's all we're getting to see. That's all we're getting to see. That's all we're getting to see.